Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so have you ever felt like you're trying really hard to make big changes, but they just don't stick? Well, if that sounds familiar, then our deep dive today is definitely for you. We're getting into James Clear's huge bestseller, Atomic Habits. And just to be clear, we're drawing from reviews and actual excerpts here, really trying to pull out the core ideas.
That's right. And our mission really is to distill the most vital bits from Atomic Habits. We want to understand how these tiny, almost invisible changes can actually lead to really remarkable results in the long run. And more importantly, show you how you can, actually use these ideas yourself to build the good habits, maybe finally ditch some of the bad ones.
Right. And the central idea, the thing Clear is maybe most known for, is this power of small habits. It's not about like overnight transformations. He talks about the 1% improvement principle, which sounds small maybe, but the idea is if you get just 1% better each day, those tiny wins, they compound.
They really do. It's kind of like interest in a bank account, but for your personal growth. These small adjustments, they seem minor day to day, but they really accumulate. And the book digs into the why behind it, using, psychology, a bit of neuroscience, behavioral science.
So it's not just try harder.
Not at all. It explains why our brains respond so well to these small, consistent steps. That's what makes these tiny shifts, well, ultimately profound.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Because just saying get 1% better is one thing, but how? Cleary gives us this really practical framework, the 4 laws of behavior change.
Exactly, the 4 laws. And they are: make it obvious,
Make it obvious.
make it attractive,
Okay.
make it easy,
Uh-huh.
and make it satisfying. And each one tackles a different part of the habit loop. The cue, craving, response, reward cycle.
So could you give us like a quick example for each? How would make it obvious's work?
Sure. So make it obvious is all about the cue. If you want to say floss more, you don't hide the floss in a drawer. You put it right there next to your toothbrush. Can't miss it.
Simple enough. What about attractive?
That's linking a habit you want to do with something you already like doing. Maybe you only let yourself listen to your absolute favorite podcast while you're on your daily walk. Temptation bundling, he calls it.
I like that. Okay, make it easy.
Reducing friction, like drastically. Want to eat healthier snacks, don't just buy them. Put them right at eye level in the fridge, pre-chopped maybe. Make it the path of least resistance.
Gotcha. And the last one, satisfying.
This is crucial because our brains love immediate rewards. So find a way to give yourself a little win right after doing the good habit. Could be as simple as marking an X on a calendar. That little hit of dopamine reinforces the behavior.
That framework seems super actionable, but Clear also talks about something maybe a bit deeper, these identity-based habits. How is that different from just, setting goals?
Yeah, that's a really key part of the book, I think. It's a shift in focus. So instead of focusing purely on the outcome, what you want to achieve, like I want to lose 20 pounds.
Right, the goal.
Exactly.
Right.
You focus on the identity, who you want to become. So it's not, I want to run a marathon. It's, I am a runner.
Hmm.
See the difference? When your behavior is tied to your sense of self, your identity, it becomes much more intrinsically motivated. You're not just doing something, you're being someone. It feels more natural, more sustainable.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like reinforcing who you see yourself as. Okay, and another practical tool he mentions is habit stacking. What's the idea there?
Habit stacking is basically linking a new habit you want to form directly onto an existing habit you already do without thinking. It uses the momentum of the old habit.
So like piggybacking.
Precisely. The formula he gives is basically, after current habit, I will new habit.
Hmm?
So using his example, after I brush my teeth, I will stretch for 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. So you use the end of one habit as the cue for the next.
Exactly. Brushing your teeth is already automatic. You don't need willpower for that. So you just bolt the new habit onto it. It makes integrating new routines much, much easier.
And this leads into another big theme, doesn't it? The role of our surroundings, environment design.
Oh, absolutely. It's huge. Cleary argues that our environment often matters more than willpower. Modifying your space can dramatically shape your behavior.
How so? Like, give us an example.
Well, it ties back to make it obvious and make it easy. If you want to drink more water, you don't just hope you remember. You leave a water bottle on your desk, right in your line of sight. Obvious cue. Or, conversely, if you want to break a bad habit, like watching too much TV, maybe you take the remote and put it in a drawer in another room after you use it. You're making the cue less visible and adding friction.
So you're kind of architecting your environment to support your goals.
That's a great way to put it. You're making the good habits the easy, obvious choice, and the bad habits harder and less visible. It's about working with human nature, not against it.
Thinking about why Atomic Habits has been so successful, I really think it's that practicality. It's not just abstract theory.
I agree, it's very actionable, and it's
Uh-huh.
grounded in solid research, drawing from psychology, neuroscience. It feels credible. Plus, James Clear's writing style is just very clear, very engaging. The examples he uses are relatable, which makes these sometimes complex ideas feel pretty easy to grasp.
Yeah, the stories help.
They do. And seeing those examples, hearing about small steps leading to big wins,
Mm.
it's genuinely motivating. It makes you feel like, okay, I could actually do this.
Now, are there any maybe criticisms or nuances? Sometimes people say it feels a bit repetitive or maybe overly simplistic for really deep-seated issues.
That's fair. You do see the core ideas revisited, which, for some might feel like repetition. But I actually think that repetition helps reinforce the key messages. And as for simplicity, yes, the laws are simple, but I see that as a major strength. It makes a whole approach really accessible, especially if you're new to this stuff.
So the simplicity makes it usable.
Exactly. It's not claiming to be like intensive therapy for deep trauma, but for building better daily habits and systems. That simplicity is powerful. And even for people who know this field, the way he systematizes it is valuable. He provides a clear framework.
Okay, so if we boil this all down for you listening, what are the main takeaways from our deep dive? For me, it's definitely that compounding power of tiny habits. Don't underestimate the 1%. And focusing on your system, not just the end goal.
Absolutely. Improve the system, the process, and the results will often follow. That's a huge shift for many people. And I'd add the environment piece. Consciously designing your surroundings is such a potent strategy. It's something you can actively control to support your habits. So yeah, small habits compound, focus on systems, and design your environment. Those are huge.
It really feels like this deep dive gives you a practical toolkit, doesn't it? Whether you're aiming to build something positive or break a pattern that's holding you back.
It does. It demystifies habit change.
So a final thought maybe for you to consider.
Yeah, maybe think about this. Beyond just the specific habits like exercise or reading, what kind of person are you trying to become through these changes? How might focusing on that identity and applying these 1% improvements consistently, even in areas you haven't thought much about, how might that reshape your life trajectory over the next year or, 5 years, 10 years? It's not just about the habits themselves, but who you evolve into along the way. That shift from goals to systems and identity, it can be truly transformative.